Hi all. In this video, I will show an example of a user form created using Angular, PrimeNG and the Reactive Form. So let's start. So I have already set up an Angular project which is called user form, and I have installed PrimeNG, Prime Icons and Prime Flex. And I only created the app folder. I doesn't have any folder. Now we can focus on reactive form inside app.component.html. So in order to use a reactive form, our first step is you have to import a reactive forms module. So in the import section, you can import, just type reactive forms module. It is getting imported from the Angular forms. So you can see reactive forms module has been imported. The next step is we have to decide which are the fields required in a form. So here I am creating a user form, so I am just creating only 4 fields. So what you can do is you have to create a form. Here in this reactive form example, I am using a form builder to create a particular form. I am just giving a name, user form, and I have to create a form builder group. So before creating the user form, let me add a constructor to inject the form builder. So I am writing a constructor and I am injecting private. I am referring the variable as the FB, and then I am writing form builder, and this form builder also needs to be imported from Angular forms. So let me import that also. So import form builder from at Angular forms. Once that has been imported or injected, you can declare a variable user form with this dot. This dot FB means it will refer the injected value of the form builder. So this dot FB dot group. Then you have to inject an object here. So this object I will create a first name. So the field names needs to be added here. So I am using a first name and square bracket and put an empty string. This is the initial value. So if you add some value here, for example some dummy value, that also will get added. So this is the initial value need to be shown in the form. Okay, so the first name, the next will be the last name, also giving an empty string. Now I am just creating another group. For example, I have to categorize some of the input fields in as another group. You can give address, then just create another group. So this dot FB dot group, then put a curly braces, then I am just giving only 2 fields. One is street, then square bracket. So don't forget to add a square bracket. Then first parameter is the initial value, then post code, giving a square bracket, then empty value. So in my form I am just creating only these 4 fields, first name, last name, street and postcode. Let's assume you have some validation, you need some validation also. So for that case, what you can do is just add a validators class. Validators needs to be imported from the Angular forms. Then after the first initial value or the first parameter, then you can put the second one as validators dot required if it is required. So there are different options available here. If you click on the control, if you click control mouse click on the validators, it will go to the validators page, and you can see there is an option called min, max, required, true, email, min length, max length. So different options are available, and example also they are showing in their page, so you can go through a different pattern if it is required. So now I am just considering only validators dot required. So I am just giving for the first name, and I am giving for the postcode as well. So this is the next step to create a form. Then after this has been created, this object has been created in the app.component.ts, you can go to app.component.html and then just create a form, and in that you have to mention this form, what is the name you have given here. This is a user form, the same name you have to given here inside a form group. So you have to give a form group, then equal to, then user form. Then you can give on submit of this particular form which function need to be called. So either you can give the ng submit here and give the button type as a submit, or you can give button type equal to normal button, and you can give the on click functionality, you can give this function also. So anything is okay. Now I am giving ng submit, then I am writing a function add user. Let me create a function here also, add user. I am just console.log of. So if you want, if it has been submitted, if you want only the form values like user form, first name, last name, whichever we have typed in the form, just type this dot user form dot value, then you will get all the values. Okay, so I will show that at the end of the tutorial. So form user, first form group, the name should be exact match with the form we declared in the app.component.ts, and I am just creating ng submit. Then as I mentioned, there should be a button. So I'm just using a normal button, then we can convert it into the PrimeNG button. Then I am giving a type equal to submit. So you have to give a submit in order to work this ng submit add user form. Okay, then submit I am giving. The next step is you have to use different form. So all the all the fields I am using as an input text. So what you can do, you can use PrimeNG input text. So in order to use the PrimeNG input text, you can go to the PrimeNG website and you can search for input text. So we are using the basic one. So you have to import the input text module. So go to the app.module.ts and import input text module and import that in the import section. Then you can come here and we can categorize all those fields. So I am just giving a div and I am just adding each element. So I am just giving a class called, these are the PrimeNG classes, class called field. Then I am giving a label for equal to first name, then here first name. I am giving a class. So the class name is block. Why I am using the block? This is also a PrimeNG class in order to make the label and input box on a separate lines. Okay, then I am just giving an input field of the PrimeNG by calling p input text. I am giving type equal to text, give a placeholder first name, then Then next is the step. So here in user form you have to use a first name. So copy this variable name and you have to give a form control name equal to, then you can paste this value first name. Just save it and we can have a look on how it looks. See, the first name I have added, and if you type, yeah, it is working. So this is how the first name will look. So I'm just I will add some CSS. We can wait for some time. I think I just added some CSS, that's why it is showing a full width. See, the first name, a submit button. So if you change a value of the app.component component to a dummy, then by default itself you can see a value called dummy in the first name. So I'm reverting it, then you have to paste the other fields also. So the next, the same, four elements. And sorry, before doing the four, okay, first we will consider the first two elements. Instead of first name, giving last name, okay, this is the last name. So next field is another a group. So how you can add another group is, just give a div. I'm just giving a heading, h2 is the address group. Then I'm just adding another two set of fields, which is street and postcode. So here I will write street street. The name should be exact, we used in the app.component.ts. okay. The next field is postcode. I'm copying that one, adding it in the placeholder, and this one should be small letter, and the same should be for the, if you are adding the 4, it should be we should add the ID also. So I forgot to add the ID, let it be. Okay, I'm not prioritizing that one for now. So the next thing you have to consider, we have added address, then street. So in order to identify this particular field coming, street and postcode is coming under the address section, what you can give, this is the outer div. So for the outer div you have to give a form group name. So form group name equal to, you have to give the name, that will be the address, the same name we have given here. So you have to give the address there. Okay, so this is how you have to write it. So this is form, last name, street and postcode, then submit button. Let me add the submit button also. Sorry, button. So in order to use this button you have to import the button module. So I'm just going to the module section, import the button module. Okay, then you can use a button like this, anything is fine, but I'm using this one for now. I'm changing to submit button, and the label should be submit as well. And okay, now what you can see, the submit button is enabled and the first name and the postcode actually is required. So if you are thinking you want to make it as disabled, you can give disabled equal to, at what condition it should be disabled. If the user form is invalid, it should be disabled. So the user form is invalid. So now the user form is invalid because we have given a first name and postcode is required. Once the user type both first name and the postcode, I think it is not showing. Let me check which are the fields we have given. Okay, it's postcode and okay, sorry, I didn't type fully. So we have to give the disable condition when the user form is invalid. If the user form is invalid, you have to disable the button. So if I type both fields, the submit button will get enabled. Okay, so if I clear this one, PrimeNG automatically add a red color to this particular one. If it is an NG dirty and if it is an NG invalid, then this will be in a red border. Okay, that's the default behavior of the PrimeNG itself. Then what is the next step? Let me add some design to look something good. So what I am just giving a card. So in order to use a card, you can go and search for the card here. So click on the card section, import the card module, go to the app.dot module and import this card as well, and then just use this card in the HTML page. So I am just using a card. I am saving it and I'm just using a style class of the PrimeNG, and I have already written some CSS of user form. I'm saving it. Now you can see it has been looking good, and let me add some class also as a part of the PrimeNG. Let me add a class flex, then justify content sender, then it will align this form all together to the center, and if you want to vertically also align to the center, align item center is also you can give. Now I am just giving justify content center. Okay, now the form looks good. Now the part of validation. So if you had a requirement to show a message below this particular input text, how you can show? For example, if I am typing something and I am removing it, PrimeNG default showing a red color to the box, but it will be good to show some error message also. So how you can do that? So in order to show the error message, I am just putting a small in order to show a text as a small letter, small font size. Okay, then I am giving a class of the PrimeNG p error and to show in a red color, and I am giving a block in order to show on the next line. Then I am giving a text message, first name is required. Just giving first name is required, but what will happen, it will always show first name is required. You have to show this error message only when this particular first name is invalid and dirty. So what you can do is you can give an NG if condition, and what you can do is under which form you have the first name. So user form, right? So user form dot get, either you can use the get or you can use control. Okay, so user form have two options to access the first name, so I am using the get option. So from user form dot get first name, then you have to tell invalid, either ng if invalid, or sorry, it's not or, if it is ng invalid and if it is dirty. So if it is an invalid and dirty, automatically PrimeNG showing a red border to the input box. So in that scenario only we have to show a red or a text message. So based on your requirement you can change this condition also. So it is showing some error. Okay, what it is showing is user form so let me add a question mark because first time maybe it doesn't have any invalid option or dirty, that's why. Yes, so just try to add the question mark because the first time the user doesn't have any invalid state or the data state, so maybe you can add a condition either like user form that get first name dot errors, then invalid and dirty, something like that you can also check also, or else you can put the question mark. So just type the name and I removed it. You can see the first name is required. Once I started typing, the red color of the box and the error message is also getting hidden. Okay, so the same thing you can copy to the other places as well. So here user form, instead of the first name it will be the last name, so it will be the last name. But in the case of another address form group, let me add this one also. Okay, what will happen is, just let me copy paste the same thing here, but it won't work because inside the user form there is an address. So first you have to get the address, then you have to get another field, right, that is the street. So this is how you will get it. I think sorry to say that, because last name I didn't add any required option, so we don't need any required option for the last name. So we added the required option only for the first name and the postcode. So let me remove from here and I will add in the postcode section. Okay, then p error plus get postcode, I will add the postcode dirty and postcode. So if you are feeling it is too lengthy, whatever, you can do a get function to return this particular section, okay, for each one. So that also you can write it in the component.ts. Now I am going with this way, so we can check. Yes, here also they will expect empty, save. So first time the submit button will be disabled, and if I type something, typing here, okay, it is enabled. And if I am removing, see, postcode is required. If I am removing this also, postcode first name is required and the submit button is disabled. But if I type it again, the submit button is enabled. So this is how we will implement reactive forms in Angular using Angular and PrimeNG.